Hello, 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 and welcome back live in person to Invest in Yourself, live from Lake Wiley, South Carolina. I'm Larry Goins, and
And I'm Nathan Amaral.
and he's not. He's Nathan. I'm Larry. Nathan, what's going on?
Hey, Larry, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I like those shirts.
Thank you, appreciate it.
You wear those kind of shirts every day.
Almost every day.
Stand up and show them.
Oh, okay, it's today's shirt day. If you haven't noticed, we've been showing off each other's shirts. So
I know, right? Don't ever do that again. So, how's the wife and baby?
They're doing well. Yeah, doing well. Baby's. I was ready to say, yeah, she's walking. Not the wife, but you know.
My wife is walking
now. And she's talking now. Yeah. No, yeah, she's 11 months actually today. She's 11 months, yeah, and she's walking and talking, walking around the house. Now it's like, where's Brooklyn? Where's Brooklyn? You know, it's not. You know, she's not stationary in one.
Yeah, no, you can't keep her down.
Nope.
That's pretty
wild. Time, yeah. So now she's going through cupboards, and you know, now we got those childproof locks on cupboards and all that stuff.
Do you have a leash on her or anything?
No, not yet. Not yet. I just ordered one on Amazon, so it should be here in about 2 days.
That's good. That's good. So Nathan works with us, and he's an author. He's a trainer. He does a lot of training and educating himself on motivation, business, sales, negotiating, all different kind of things like that. And he also works with our business advisors to help them to lead the students down the right path. So Nathan, what do you have to share with us today?
Today it's a little bit about, again, it's more mindset, but in a specific niche. Since we're talking about seller financing, I deemed it appropriate that two most important topics is the conversations you have with yourself and your buyers. So I wanted to share a little bit first about the mindset with buyers that you should have, and also your mindset with yourself, and both relating to money. So to start it off, to kick it off, is the mindset with buyers. And you know, when you start a phone call with your buyers, people calling in to ask you maybe how much is the property, or to get more information. The important thing is that you are on the leading front of that. You take control of the conversation, and you do that by asking questions. You always want to be asking questions first to stay in control of that conversation. If you kind of like spill the beans all out and you're doing all the talking, then you're not doing what's the most important thing in sales, is listening with both your ears instead of talking. So
2 ears, 1 mouth.
Yeah, that's really important. And you got to ask questions first. You got to be the one asking those questions so you can stay in control. An important thing to do that when, especially in seller financing, is when you're asking your questions, and you can get all those questions in Larry's courses, is especially when you're asking about money, right? When you're asking for, let's say, down payment, or maybe you're going to a lender, you want to be able to ask those questions about money and get very comfortable with it. You have to. And if you have to try something like maybe, you know, asking a family friend, family member, a friend, maybe doing it in the mirror or something like that, something that you get comfortable with asking for, like 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, whatever it may be for you, whatever you feel comfortable with at first, do that and get used to that. Then you got to increase your limits. You always have to raise the bar for yourself in your life, and also in your conversations. You have to raise the bar for how much you're asking for, whether it's down payment for a loan on a property or from investors. But it starts with your mindset and how you see money and how you think about money. And that's the part where the mindset comes with in part 2 of this conversation. Is first you have to understand and decide, like, what's big for you. Like, what's a big amount? You know, over the years, I've worked with a lot of people that, you know, when you say something like $5,000, they're like, whoa, $5,000. But to some other people, $5,000 is an electricity bill, right? To some people,
a mortgage payment.
A mortgage payment, yeah. I mean, so you have to understand the type of people that you're working with, and that big to you may not be big to them. So what's important for yourself is knowing what is big for you. What's the most you've ever asked for? What seems large, like, wow, this is a lot of money. When you have that, when you know what that bar is, that exact amount is, you have to challenge yourself and say, well, what's stopping me from getting more? And we just recently had this conversation, actually just a few days ago, about, actually I'll share the procedure you should try is get a blank check. And what you do with that blank check is you write down a dollar amount in that check paid out to you. And you write down the dollar amount in that check for the biggest check you've ever, or you would want to receive, that you've never received before, but that you would want to receive. And, we got a bunch of different responses. We got all different types of numbers and some are smaller, some are bigger. But the important thing is to know that in order to start the whole process, it starts in your mind. It starts with you setting the bar first of what's a big amount. And it's okay if you think $1,000 is a lot of money right now. It's okay if you think $10,000 is a lot of money right now. What's important is that you stretch your mind, and by doing that, you can take that exercise by using the blank check and filling it out, making it out to yourself, or repeating this to other people. And it'll help you ask for more money and ask more questions to other people.
That's good.
Yeah.
Can I throw one thing in here?
Yeah.
I remember years and years ago, and it's kind of funny you're talking about this, how much is a big amount to you, and what do you feel comfortable with, and what is a stretch? I remember years ago, but this was back in the 80s, I was thinking, I remember thinking this specifically, I'm cool dealing in $100, like 200 here, 300 there, 500, 800, whatever, whether I'm buying or selling or whatever, or, I got 500 in the bank, I can go spend 300 on this or whatever. And I remember thinking, I want to get to a point where I can do that with 4 figures, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 7, and then I want to get to the point where I can do it with 5 figures. Then I want to get to the point where I can do it with 6 figures. Then I want to get to the point where I can do it with 7 figures. Okay. So I remember thinking specifically about this, being comfortable in trading here and there and all that. And I remember getting to the point, I opened up a Schwab One account. Now, I don't think they even have an account called Schwab One anymore, but it was like a checking account, but it had a debit card with it. And it was, I remember I was so excited. I put like $5,000 in that thing because that's what you had to have in it. So I put and I had this Schwab debit card. I'm like, and that just showed me I had $5,000 in there because you had to keep $5,000 in there. Okay. And I was like so thrilled. This was back in the 80s. Mm-hmm. I was so excited. You earn a little bit of interest. It wasn't much, but it was a little bit of interest. It was more than it is now. They're paying 1% now, right? Yeah. So, but anyway, and then I remember getting to the point where I was dealing in 10,000 here, 20,000 here, 40,000, 60,000, whatever it is. And then I remember I'd forgotten about this for a long time. And I remember I was out of town and I asked my wife, this was a long time ago when we used to have to go pick up checks, certified checks, and take them to closings. We didn't do wires. So I remember I was out of town and I called my wife and I said, honey, I need you to go over to, back then it was First Union, before it was Wachovia or now Wells Fargo. I need you to go over to First Union and I need you to get a certified check. I think it was like $250,000 or something. And I need you to take it over to this attorney for this closing. And she said, okay, I'm writing this down. Okay, 250, and it was a specific amount. I don't remember, like 258,000, whatever. Okay, good. I got it. Okay, great. By the way, what is this for? That was the last thing she asked me. So I'm not telling you that to impress you. And I'm not going to say I'm telling it to you to impress upon you either. But I'm telling it to you so you can get to the point where you're dealing in 4 figures, 5 figures, 6 figures. And you and your family get used to dealing in that stuff. Because that was like kind of an afterthought to my wife. Oh, by the way, what are we buying? So I told her what the property was or whatever. And, I'm buying it for this. I'm selling it for this, whatever. So I want you guys to think about that and what is your number, like Nathan was talking about, and get to the point, if you're comfortable in dealing in 3 figures, $100, 400, 300, get to the point where you can deal in thousands and then tens of thousands and then hundreds of thousands and eventually millions. And you can do it, but it all starts from right where you are. You're not going to go from hundreds to 6 figures, but you can work your way up. Right, Nathan?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Everything Larry just said is so true. You have to start with the end in mind first and knowing where you want to go. Even write it down. That's why I use that check example, that blank check example you fill out. If you write it down, it puts those thoughts in motion, and then just ask yourself every day or once a week, however you want to do it, but ask yourself on a regular basis, what can I do today to get myself one step closer to this goal? And that will definitely increase that progress.
That's awesome. That is really good. Nathan, thanks a lot for sharing that.
Yeah,
That's really
absolutely.
good.
Absolutely.